Attack on Titan shows you an apocalyptic history that once devastated humanity. One day, Titans suddenly appeared over 100 years ago. They devoured everyone in their path and brought humanity near extinction. However, there's far more to this Titan history than you realize from the anime. This is just one version of events, but there's actually 5 different versions. If you're anime only, you've only seen one. Let's pull back the curtains and unveil the harsh truth. The Marley version of Titan history. Over 1800 years ago, a woman named Ymir Fritz existed. Miss Fritz was an ancestor of the people living inside the walls. Ymir was the one that made a contract with the devil of the earth to gain a special power. This was the power of the Titans. As you can see here, this is shown to be Ymir in her Titan form. Later, Ymir's life came to an end after 13 years. With her death, her soul was split into 9 Titans. These Titans were then used to build the great empire of Eldia. This new Eldian empire destroyed the Marley nation that existed and came to rule the continent. This so far is the Titan history as told by the Marley history books. The Eldian Empire took advantage of the Titan power to rule the world. With the Eldian Empire under control, this then led into the Dark Ages for the world. The humans who gained the power to turn into Titans were known as subjects of Ymir. They determined that all other people and races were inferior, so naturally, they began to heavily oppress them. The Eldians stole their land and their valuables. They even wiped out their culture, history, and in a lot of cases just wiped out a huge number of races completely. These Eldians forced these other groups to have their children to further increase the subjects of Ymir. This whole ethnic cleansing lasted for over 1700 years. Research showed that the number killed were at least 3 times the current world population over that time period. Once the Eldians ran out of enemies, they turned on one another and began to kill themselves. Unknown to the Eldians, this infighting was going all according to plan. 80 years before Grisha's time, the abused Marley nation took this opportunity to make a comeback. They plotted against the Eldian Empire from within and were able to ignite a civil war. Marley's effort eventually sparked the Great Titan War. The Eldian families who held the 8 Titans fought each other in an endless cycle of conspiracy and betrayal. This caused the weakened Eldian Empire to suffer heavily and ultimately fall apart. According to Zeke, the Tybar family, who was in control of the Warhammer Titan, was the first Eldian family to oppose and fight the Eldian king in this war. Marley's plan proved to be a huge victory for them. They came out of the Great Titan War with 7 out of the 9 Titans under their control. For this massive win, Marley had to thank one great hero from their nation. This hero was known as Helios. He was a champion who was a normal human that fought the Titans and helped save the world. Helios was responsible for spreading false information within the Eldian Empire. It was what eventually led to the cause of them killing each other. Helios was then honored in Marley's history, and also the world history. There's even a statue of him within Marley to celebrate his work. Ultimately, the union between Marley, Helios, and the Tybar family was what successfully beat the 145th Eldian king, King Fritz. As you might be able to tell from the name, King Fritz was the ancestor to Ymir Fritz. The defeat in the Great Titan War caused him to retreat to Paradise Island with the Eldian people. The king then built 3 colossal walls to protect his people. These are the walls and people you're familiar with from Attack on Titan Season 1. Unfortunately, not all Eldians were able to make it over to the island. Eldians who remained were abandoned on the continent. They were pretty much left to suffer to the mercy of the victorious Marley nation. And possibly worse, the whole world thought of the Eldian people as descendants of the devil. How exactly would the people that once suffered under the Eldians treat them back? Perhaps Marley was merciful by not immediately killing all of them. The remaining Eldians were forced into internment zones across the nation. Here, they were required to wear an armband to identify them as being from the devil race. Sound familiar? So far, all of what you've heard has been the Marley version of history. This has been what's been drilled into every Eldian living in these internment zones. It's pretty much Marley propaganda. Current Eldians have been told that their ancestors were criminals who engaged in eugenics and committed mass ethnic cleansing, that the devil's blood runs through all of them, every single Eldian. Eldians in these internment zones live in constant fear of the Marley nation. Punishment for them means getting thrown into Paradise Island to forever live as a mindless Titan. On the flip side, the Marley nation has kept themselves as a world power by taking advantage of the Titans they do control. This includes using and abusing the mindless Titans in wars against other nations. Thanks to this, the situation for current Eldians has only worsened worldwide. The fear of the Titans used in warfare has only helped to increase the hatred for them. The Grisha version of Titan history. You know Grisha, Eren's father. Grisha was part of this group known as the Eldian Restorationists within Marley. An undercover agent within the Marley government helped their group. Grisha and his group were given access to historical documents that the Eldians no longer knew about in present day, their true history. This is what those documents revealed. Unsurprisingly, Marley had been feeding them lies. Their ancestor Ymir had awakened the power of the Titans. With their new abilities, Ymir used his power to better humanity. The Titan powers helped cultivate the wastelands, build roads and bridges, and so on. In other words, the great Ymir had brought vast wealth to humanity. In reality, she helped people so much, and even helped to develop the continent. With this newfound knowledge, Grisha and his group believed that they were children of God. Grisha had done an excellent job translating these documents, except for one problem. Grisha really hadn't been translating anything at all. He didn't know this ancient language, and according to his own words, he was barely able to decipher any of it. What Grisha did was basically look at the pictures and pretty much made up his own story on the spot. For whatever reason, the rest of the group simply took his word for it and didn't question it. To further add to this version of Titan history comes an account from Dina Fritz. Dina was part of the royal family branch that stayed on the continent after the king fled to Paradise Island. According to Dina, the Great Titan War had begun when the 145th king inherited the founding Titan. Until then, the Eldian houses that held the other 8 Titans were in constant conflict for generations. The balance was kept in check through the royal family's founding Titan, but this new king was a pacifist. He instead chose to abandon his duties and moved his people to the remote island. According to intel from the undercover agent within Marley, the king left this message to the world. If anyone tries to bother them on that island, the tens of millions of Titans within the walls would destroy the world. Both the Marley nation and the world believed this message to be true. The Kruger version of Titan history. The undercover agent feeding information to the Eldian Restorationists was known as the Owl. He claimed that his real name was Edgar Kruger. Aaron Kruger brings a slightly different version of Ymir's history. Their Eldian ancestor Ymir was a girl who came in contact with the source of all organic material. Kruger goes on to question both the Marley version of history and the version of history that Grisha made up. This brings us to 3 different versions of this Ymir ancestor. Did she make a deal with the devil, a pact with a god, or simply find some magical Titan weed? Perhaps a combination of all of them. The Marley propaganda also claimed that there were 1700 years of ethnic cleansing. Kruger questioned the validity of this. If this was really true, there wouldn't be any traces of Marley around anywhere. This would also be true for all the other nations as well. On the flip side, Grisha believed that Ymir had brought a lot of wealth to humanity with the power of the Titans. Kruger questioned this reality as well. It didn't sound like any human he ever heard of. Notably, Kruger does double down on one part of the Marley history. The previous Great Eldian Empire had used Marley's Titans in the past as cheap weapons of mass destruction. He also mentioned the fact that the 145th king had made a vow to renounce all war. This king used the power of the founding Titan to manipulate and steal the memories of every Eldian within the walls. His people were made to believe that humanity outside the walls had been exterminated. The walled-off nation in Paradise Island represented utopia for the king. The Tybur version of Titan history. The final version of Titan history comes from Willie Tybur, a fairly new player. Willie is currently the head of the Tybur family, and also the holder of the Warhammer Titan. This family is the same family that fought against the king and sparked the Great Titan War. After this Great Titan War, the Tybur family received a special status within Marley as honorary Marleyans. Unlike the other Eldians that were rounded up in internment zones, the Tybur family enjoyed living in large mansions and estates within Marley. Until recently, they followed a strict policy of not interfering in politics and war. In present day, the world knows the Marley nation as a powerhouse, but Willie revealed the truth. In reality, Marley has been under control by the Tybur family this whole time. In other words, Marley, who was once abused by the Eldian Empire, is still secretly controlled by another Eldian group, the Tybur family. Contrast this to the lie that the world sees, with how Marley is a great power, while the remaining Eldians are inside internment camps. Willie went ahead and talked about how his family watched as the Eldians caged themselves up on that island. The Tybur family allowed Marley the freedom to do as they wanted. This resulted in Marley becoming a military state. You know about the Great Titan War history as told by Marley to the rest of the world. Willie proclaimed to everyone that some of the facts from this history are actually false. This is all according to his memories inherited from the Warhammer Titan. The Great Titan War was ended neither by Helios or the Tybur family. In reality, the man who saved everyone was King Fritz. The Eldian king was the one that put an end to the Great Titan War. Before the 145th king inherited the founding titan, he deeply regretted the Eldian Empire's brutal history. He was tired of all the fighting and ugly wars between the families. And most of all, his heart ached for the Marley nation that was under constant tyranny. After he became king and inherited the founding titan, he came up with a plan together with the Tybar family. He wanted to sacrifice himself and his people to bring an end to the Eldian Empire. To accomplish this, they invented the idea of a Marleyan savior, Helos. While the Eldian families were busy fighting and killing one another, the king moved as many people over to Paradise Island and constructed 3 colossal walls. The king had threatened that if anyone disturbed their peace, he would crush the world with his million of colossal titans. But really, this wasn't true at all. He never meant it. The king made a vow to renounce all war. This promise was tied to the founding titan and his royal blood. Any royal blood successor would inherit the founding titan, the almighty power to control all titans, and his vow of peace. The king's ideology kept on being passed down through generations, which is why titans weren't used to fight back against the warriors that brought down Wall Maria. His ultimate goal was peace. It was so much to the extent that the king was fine with the Marley nation attacking the royal family and taking the founding titans for themselves if they wanted. In his mind, Eldians and titans should have never existed in the first place. As of the most recent chapter 99, Willie used his newly found revealed info to show the King Fritz as a hero to the world. But at the same time, he declared Eren to be the real enemy of the world. After all, Eren is now in possession of the founding titan, but is not a member of the royal family. So, I'm sure this has you really thinking about everything. What is really true? Has it all been a lie? Which titan history is the correct one? If you're wondering these questions, that's great, because I'm going to be discussing all of this. This is just the first part of this new multi-part series. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next part of this series. If you also enjoyed, please be sure to give this a colossal thumbs up. It'll make you feel super awesome. But let's not forget, I really want to hear from you. Question of the day: which version of Titan history do you think is right? Was Ymir really some Titan wizard? Is it all a huge lie? And also, does this discussion give you any theories for the current story, or about how the series will ultimately end? I definitely can't wait to see what you come up with, and have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys later.